pretty, sorry. Okay. So that's a pretty bold statement. So I'm like, I want to hear what this guy has to say. And this guy is, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but his name is Adam Leipzig. And he's like a big movie producer and a distributor, and he's staged a lot of plays. And so he shares his story about how he went to a high school reunion and the amazing, what he found out while he was there when he talked to a lot of his colleagues, right? Classmates, old classmates. So I'm going to share real quick what he shares, okay? So hopefully you can hear it. Okay, how do I, oh, I have the volume off. How do I do it? How do I mute?
I'm just gonna turn up on the TV.
Because I have the volume off. Can you guys hear it? Because I had the volume off, that's why.
They should still be able to hear it with your screen sharing.
Can they? Can you guys hear?
No.
No?
Well, there's not really a sound.
Yes. Yeah, Zoom can hear it.
On the last evening of my 25th college reunion.
Now I can hear, yes.
Partying in a tent. There was dancing and music and noise. So much noise that a lot of us started to drift out of the tent so we could hear each other talk and catch up with classmates that we had not seen in more than 2 decades. As I talked with my friends, I made an astounding discovery. 80% of them were unhappy with their lives. I feel as though I've wasted my life and I'm halfway through it, they said. I don't know what my life is all about. Now, I was privileged to go to Yale, and we were standing on a summer evening in the middle of Yale's old campus, and the people that I was speaking with were privileged and highly educated and financially well off and in positions of power. And they had the first house and the second house, and they had the first spouse and the second spouse. And 80% of them were unhappy with their lives. Who was happy? The 20%? Well, we had studied literature and Renaissance rhetoric, and we were the theater people and the history geeks. We had studied classes for the joy of learning, not because we thought they were going to direct us to a specific job. We still got jobs. We were living our lives expansively with life's ups and downs. And we did not feel that we had wasted a single minute. And as I spoke with the 20%, the happier 20%, I discovered that each of them knew something about their life purpose because they knew 5 things: who they were, what they did, who they did it for, what those people wanted or needed, and what they got out of it, how they changed as a result. Does that sound hard? It's not. It's actually really simple. In fact, it's so simple that you can learn your life purpose now. You're going to know your life purpose now in the next 5 minutes. Would you like to know your life purpose in the next 5 minutes? Can you be a little bit louder, because they're making a lot of noise in the tent and there's just this silly little microphone next to my cheek to hear you. Would you like to know your life purpose in the next 5 minutes? Thank you. Actually, it's not even going to take 5 minutes. So can I share something else with you? If you're like a lot of us, you have wondered and worried about your life purpose for a long time. And there are books and magazines and workshops and seminars about it. In fact, Amazon lists 151,928 books that refer to how you can learn your life purpose. Well, I know some people who have spent their entire lives trying to learn their life purpose. And look, we can all agree that the unexamined life is not worth living. But if all you're doing is examining, you're not living.
Wow.
So let's figure out the life purpose right now together. Who you are, what you do, who you do it for, what those people want and need, and how they change as a result. Shall we do it? All right, everybody, on the count of 5, shout out your first name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fabulous. That was the first one, only 4 to go. That's who you are. All right, now what do you do? What do you love to do? You love to write, cook, design, create iOS apps, write code, crunch numbers, talk, teach. What do you love to do? And if there's a lot of things that come up for you, focus it down by asking yourself this one question. What is the one thing that right now you feel supremely qualified to teach other people? Think about that in one word. Hold it, don't release it yet. On the count of 5. What do you do? 1, 2, 3, 4. Great, that's what you do. Now, think about who you do it for. Picture them in your mind. Be ready to say it on the count of 5. Hold it, don't release it yet. 1, 2, 3. Okay, who do you do it for? Let's see it one more loud, a little bit louder, please. Over the people in the tent. Who do you do it for? Together? Thank you. That is the spirit that we need. Okay, now, what do those people want or need? What do they want or need that you have, that they've come to you so you can give them this thing? What do they want or need? In just 1 or 2 words, hold it, don't release it yet. And on the count of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. Now, this is the best one. How do they change? How do they change or transform as a result of what you give them? On the count of 5, how do they change or transform as a result of what you give them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Terrific. Now, we're going to put this all together kind of in a sentence, okay? Everyone together, louder than the people in the tent. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? What do they want or need? How do they change as a result? Fantastic. You have all just done something that people who went to Yale could not figure out for 25 years. Congratulations. Give yourself a hand. Now, why is that formulation so powerful? Because of all those 5 things that you need to know what your life purpose is, only 2 are about yourself.
Yeah.
The others, 3 of them, are about other people. Who they are, what they want or need, and how they change as a result. That formulation forces you to be outward facing. And all the happier people that I met outside the tent on that warm New Haven night, they were outward facing, they were not inward facing. They knew very clearly whom they served, what those people needed, and how those people changed as a result. And you may have intuited this already, that the most successful people in any field always focus most on the people that they serve than on how they are served themselves. Happier people make it a point to make other people happy and do things that make them feel well taken care of and secure. If you make other people happy, life teaches us we will be taken care of too. So since you all did so well, we have time for just a little bit of extra credit. One of the most difficult things that happens when you meet people for the first time is they ask you this question. So what do you do? And if you're like some of us, that's a really challenging question sometimes, particularly if you're in these moments where you're between things, or you're feeling vulnerable, or it isn't defined, or what you seem to do isn't what you really do, or what you're paid to do isn't how you define yourself. So when people ask you this question, so what do you do? And also you got this monologue going on, like, why is he asking me, so what do I do? It's because it's that transactional thing where it's like, he wants to know if he should really spend time talking to me, or it's that other thing, so he can tell me what he does because he's sure it's, really so much better than what I do, right? So when somebody asks you that question, here's what you do. You just say the very last thing you called out, how what you do changes the people you do it for. So for example, you might say, I give kids awesome dreams. If your life purpose is, I write books for children so they can fall asleep at night, so they can have awesome dreams. Or you might say, I help people look and feel their best. If your life purpose is, I design apparel for men and women who need affordable choices so they can look and feel their best. Or you might say, I help people get great work into the world. If your life purpose is, I train entrepreneurs and creative people to take decisive actions so they can get their greatest work into the world. And then that little snippet that you just said becomes your personal elevator pitch. And it will always start the conversation because the person that you were just talking to has to ask you a question. How do you give kids great dreams? How do you help people look and feel their best? Can people really get their greatest work into the world? And then you get to tell them, and you get to share your life purpose. And you get to share how they may come to learn theirs too.
All right. So what do you guys think of that?
That was great.
Isn't that good? So again, I kind of restated, and if you guys want to write these down, 5 questions to ask to know your life's purpose. Who you are, what do you do, who are you doing it for, what do these people want or need, and how do those people change as a result? And the key is being outward facing. When you say who you are, it's start with number 1 and finish with number 5. And that opens up the conversation to getting to know people on a deeper level. Mm-hmm. For example, like me, just, I'm Janice Rivera. I'm a real estate agent. That kind of just leaves it superficial. I do more than just that. Mm-hmm. But if I help people achieve their dreams and goals of home ownership and living in the best city in the United States, which is San Diego, mm-hmm. that opens up a different, it also shows my enthusiasm for what I do.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to leave you with that. So so obviously I found a scripture that kind of says, kind of ties all this together. And obviously Jeremiah 29:11 is a very popular scripture, but I think it ties this in nicely. Mm-hmm. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not disaster, to give you a future and a hope. So obviously for us, we know our life's purpose for what God says in his word. But for people that don't know God, you can just share, hey, there's a purpose for your life, and it's to give you a future and a hope. Because isn't that what the world needs right now, is a future and a hope. So that's it for me. And this is so anybody have any quick questions or comments before I bring in the main event of the evening? No? Well, that's it. So I'm gonna bring up the amazing Pam. Now I know Pam, not just we work alongside each other at DNA and serve together, but Pam is also, actually Fredo, my husband, he highly recommended her. She speaks, I guess, at multiple Pathfinders events, and she's gonna share about discovering and maximizing your strengths so you can find your purpose. So Pam.
Thank you. I thought you were taking a break, but that's okay.
Okay, no,
roll
let's
right
do it.
into it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I don't even know, what was his name?
It was Adam Leipzig or something like that.
Whatever. I saw that. Janice sent it to me the other day and I was like, it was awesome. Here's one thing that he said that I absolutely love. I speak at a lot of networking events pre-COVID. So I love to have people in person right now. And the most dreaded question is, hi, what do you do? What do you do? I usually go around the table and I change it. And I'm going to offer for you all to change that question when you go to networking, and change it with one word. Say, hi, what do you love to do? Because the difference is you take people from their head because they're going, what do I do? Just like this, what's his name again? Adam was talking about is, okay, are they gonna like one up me? Do they think they're like, what can I get from you? It's just this whole mental gymnastics that we're trying to figure out. When you say, what do you love to do? You then take people from your head to your heart. And you have an opportunity to connect with them from a very different place. So that all feeds into what we're going to talk about today, is discover and master your strengths with ease and flow. Okay, I do a lot of cycling first thing in the morning, and I have this great instructor, and her mantra is, if you have a pulse, you have a purpose. And I'm riding my bike, and I like that. It's giving me that motivation for the day. But what I want to ask you is, who all here is tired of proving, pleasing, and performing your way to success. Yeah, that was me. I was proving, pleasing, and performing my way to success. Growing up, I was taught to have a public persona, a public image of perfectionism, and a private one that was very different because I was much more laid back and more fun, but never shall the two meet. So how that manifested for me was I was literally proving, pleasing, and performing my way to success in corporate America for about 20 years. So when I left my corporate position after 20 years, I recognized that I was living out of integrity with myself because I had a public persona at work and a private one, and it was very, very different. So when I left, as I mentioned, I had a identity crisis because my value and my worth was tied to what I did. That is not uncommon. So fast forward to today, what I do is I help leaders discover the value of who they are by maximizing their strengths so they can live and lead from a place of strength with confidence, impact, and influence. So what I want to share with you today is how do we know whether we're in flow, in ease and flow? God gives us our God-given talents. That is our purpose. And the interesting thing is you're going to find out is that our talents and strengths don't come alive until we're connecting with other people. That's why this Adam was like, you got to connect with other people. You got to be service focused. And if most of us here are with Awaken, oh my gosh, that's mostly what we do, is all about serving. And that's when you find your identity, right? So this is an interactive. This is not all teachy preachy. So you're going to have an experience around this. What am I doing here?
Just make sure you click on the slide and then press down.
There you go.
Okay. All right, take out a piece of paper. And what I want you to do is
There's paper pads.
using the 6 shapes in the boxes here, 2, 4, 6, right? Using these, I want you to draw a duck, create a duck, okay? So ready?
Using those shapes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Using these shapes here, I want you to, we usually say build a duck because this is in person, but now that we're doing virtual and in person, I want you all to have the same advantage. Build a duck.
Okay. All right.
Oh, shoot.
We have to use all 6 shapes?
All 6 shapes.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's see. Hold on. Okay, now I need to do this.
My poor duck.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
so
so
you done, Richard?
I like your.
4, 5, 6.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's see some of the ducks in the room and then we'll go online. Let's see your duck. Okay,
Oh.
okay.
Same size, dang it.
Are you all
Oh, I did
No,
too.
they're
Mine are like, a
a little bit different? Yeah.
Oh.
It's so cute.
See, they're all valid. See, everybody, well, there's not one the same. Let's see online. Show up to the camera when you're,
That's why I didn't think you could use feet on a duck.
I don't have any.
okay,
Oh.
very
Oh,
cool.
I did the same thing. That's funny.
Oh.
Yeah, girl.
All right. Okay, so the purpose of that, for one, we're all very creative. Creativity, we are creative creatures, right? And the purpose I do that with is because we all show up differently. Okay, we all have different talents. We all have different ways about the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. So leadership is not a one size fits all. Okay, it's based on our natural gifts and talents. So everyone is different. And leadership starts with who we are. It's who we are, the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. So oftentimes I work with clients and they'll say, well, I don't have those leadership qualities. And I'm like, well, which ones are you talking about? Well, the ones that really make you to be a leader. The fact is that I don't believe in one size fits all leadership development, okay? Because a lot of the times people will go through multitudes of leadership conferences and they're like, okay, you have to behave like this and you have to try this on and act like that. The problem with that is that we're then a chameleon because we're trying, so it's like we're putting on an overcoat that's 10 sizes too big, okay? The leadership courses are great when you have a foundation of knowing who you are. Because then what you do is you make that teaching, the skills, you put that on, the foundation, the things that are like not a non-negotiable, but a fixed asset is our talents, the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. And that starts with self-awareness. So I want to just kind of popcorn around the room a little bit here. So with leadership starting with who we are, give me a time where you're at your best. Tell me a little bit, and we'll just go around the room. A time that you're at your best.
Connecting with people.
Connecting with people.
Talking.
Okay. Who else wants to share?
What do you mean at your best? Like,
Just answer the question, whatever comes to mind, the very first thing that comes to mind for you when you're at your
loving
best.
people.
You're loving people. For
I
sure.
think it's, for me, mostly in the morning and after I've spent time with God.
Excellent. Emily, back there.
Oh,
You're part of this.
after a good workout.
After a good workout.
Oh, nice.
Excellent. Let's look around and see somebody on the phone. Can you share? Somebody on the phone, you want to tell us a time when you're at your best?
I'd agree with the workout, and then also just balancing my blood sugar through eating right has a huge part with my moods and ability to be best.
Okay. Awesome. You know, it's interesting. And some people, when I do this workshop, they'll say, well, what do you mean? Is this at work or is this at home? I said, you answer the question the way you think it's to be answered. Again, it's because we all come at things very, very differently. Some people are like, when I'm with my kids, for me, it's after my first cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Actually, I need to do the first cup of coffee and then I go work out. That's when I'm out like that. Because if I don't have that combination, it's a very slow day.
Yes.
So this is to get you aware. It's not what we think other people want us to say. This is for you to understand when you're at your best.
Yeah.
What is the best part of you? Sarah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, share with us.
My ability to connect with anybody.
Connect with
I feel like I
anybody.
can find something in common with them.
Okay, yes, awesome. Who else wants to share?
Can you repeat the question?
The best part of
The best part of you.
Oh, the best part. My caring heart.
Caring heart. Awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody on the phone, on virtual, want to share? What is the best part of you?
Or you can put it in the chat.
I think the desire to want to always improve myself.
Excellent. Excellent. So it's, as I mentioned, leadership starts with who you are. So if we're not self-aware to begin with, we tend to prove, please, and perform. I work with so many clients that second guess their value and who they are and their confidence because they're so concerned about other people's opinions of them.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one. And it's really tough to start unraveling when you live your life like that and then are rewarded for that, right?
Ooh, that's good.
So again, leadership starts with who you are. And I don't know why this is not. Oh, there we go. Okay. So a talent, I want you to know, is a talent. Well, first off, let me ask you this. Who all has taken this strength assessment? Okay. So were you surprised with your results? I know some of you.
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Anything surprise you?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say no, sorry. I'm like right behind you.
Okay. Michelle, what surprised you?
I don't know that I was surprised by a lot of it, but maybe like the sequencing of it, some of that surprised me.
Okay. Anyone else who took it? Anyone online have taken the strength assessment? easy, I don't know. Oh, this is really hard.
Can you pull them up so she can see?
I haven't taken it yet.
Okay, well, I like that, yeah, that's in a growth mindset, there you go. So what this does is it's an assessment and it gets the way you naturally think, feel, and behave. So as I mentioned, God gives us gifts and talents. And as you heard before, is like we all have a purpose. We are here for a purpose. And when we understand the way we naturally think, feel, and behave, that is our superpowers. It's our superpowers. Because as I mentioned, is what I do is I help people discover and help leaders discover the value of who you are. Because when your personal power lies at the source of who you are, success is guaranteed. So we're not leading from a place of positional power, which tends to be proving, pleasing, and performing, and talking to, working with either you're in your company, your team, your organization, and you want people to follow you not based on your title, because that's pretty doggone hollow when you think about it. And I know a lot of people that are wielding power with their title, and that doesn't bode well with a lot of people as far as their followers. So as I mentioned, when you understand the value of who you are, and that's your personal power, you step into your personal power, success is guaranteed because it's the way you naturally think, feel, and behave. Oh, what did I just do?
Did you hit the stop sharing?
I don't.
Can you help? Here, you're gonna hit share. Hold on. Here, you hit the stop sharing.
Did I stop sharing? My
Yes, you did.
apologies.
It's okay. You're right here. Share. There you go. Okay. Yeah, you just hit you gotta hit this. And then, oops. Now I did it. Now I did it.
You're learning something new.
Oh my Lord. All right, you guys, one of you guys come help me. I don't know what happened. There it goes. It's just, there you go. That's what it is. Just
And then how do I go down one more?
So just always make sure you're clicked on that and then you can go.
Okay. Okay.
But you can also go like this using your 2 fingers.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So when we understand our talents, the way we naturally think, feel, and behave, these are things that come so natural to us. So those of you who have not taken the assessment yet, it is a super simple test. It's an assessment, and it's timed, because what you'll do is it's going to catch your natural reactions, and people go, "Oh my gosh, I timed out on it." That's because oftentimes we overthink it. Well, what should I say? And I don't know. And maybe if I try this, and what do they want me to say? This way, it's catching you in your knee-jerk reaction, so you're not overthinking it. And because your natural talents is the way that things come naturally to you. They come so easy. And what society will have us believe that if it comes easy, it's not of value. The fact is that flow state, when things are working so automatically for us, we're in flow. It's the optimal state of mind that we feel that we perform our best. Now, who here has had a day where you're just on top of the world floating, feeling like, oh my gosh, everything's falling into place?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what you're doing? When was the last time that you had that one of those days?
A couple days ago.
Okay, Emily, share with us.
I got 2 job offers on the same day.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
I was unemployed. Well, I mean, working for my own company, but I need a little bit more consistency.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it that you felt on top of the world that because of two jobs that came in?
Yeah, the stability of income.
Okay.
Just knowing that I'm gonna be able to pay rent next month.
Did you stop and recognize and pause to say, hey, what's going on here? Why is today different than any other day?
No, I mean, I definitely was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank
Mhm.
you, Jesus. Yeah, but I didn't like go so introspective and really like take time to analyze that or anything. I did journal about it though.
You did. Awesome. I would highly encourage you, all of you, that when you are in a state of flow, we all know that when it happens, when things just fall into place, right? Pause and think about what's going on around me. How am I behaving? Who am I being? Who's around me? What's going on? Because you want to be able to replicate that, okay? So when we're in a state of flow, our productivity shoots skyrockets and it's effortless. And I want to give you an opportunity to be able to experience that. So some of the indicators of when you're in flow is like you lose a sense of time. Or all of a sudden you're working on something and 4 hours go by. And maybe your kids are going, are we going to eat sometime tonight? I know mine used to. And when I am in strategy mode, and I am thinking of collaborating with friends of mine, or if I'm working on a project, and next thing you know it, I've got 14 windows open, 4 hours later, and time just flew by. That is a great indication that you're in flow. Okay. Another one is a sense of ease when things click into place. So for example, if you pick up things super easy, not literally picking up, but you are able to learn something super quickly. It's almost as if they're puzzle pieces that fall into place really easily. Sometimes people will say, how did you do that? And you go, ooh. And it's hard for you to explain how you just did something. That is, again, is a great indication that you're in flow, that is one of your greatest talents. Pay attention to what comes super simple to you. Those are some indications. So I want to give you, we're going to do a little bit of a breakout right now for those that are online. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a writing instrument. Are you writing, what do you call it? Implement? No. Instrument. Okay. Pen or pencil, whatever. Pen or pencil. In your non-dominant hand. And I want you to write your first and last name 3 times. Okay?
Does it go in here or just anywhere?
You can write it anywhere. You can write it in your workbook if you like. Again, your creative breakout rooms. Okay. First and last name with your non-dominant hand.
I almost have to make sure I'm spelling it right.
And then Emily, as you can also ask them.
Yeah.
Okay. When they're done, share, and we're going to share that here. How did that feel?
Jerky.
How does it look? Could you do it?
Yes.
Okay.
That looks pretty. That actually looks really pretty.
Okay, let's talk about that in the room. Is everyone done?
No.
Michelle's still working? Okay.
I got lots of letters.
You're a lesson.
I just look at cursive. Cursive
You-
is just easier.
Cursive was easier for you in your non-dominant hand.
Innovative person.
Well, I teach second grade.
Oh, okay.
Children and children that are left-handed, cursive is just easier. Because it's connected and you don't have to restart the flow. You just get to this really, really.
Okay.
Oh my God,
So-
so sweet.
So let's talk about how you were all, how did it feel?
Gave me anxiety.
Did it?
Because it's sloppy and like a little kid, and I really look at people's penmanship because I've always wanted nice ones, so it's even worse in my non-dominant. So it's like,
The
oh,
pressure.
Yeah.
Who else?
Felt awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt really weird and awkward,
Yeah.
but it felt funny.
Uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Were you able to do it?
Yep.
Yeah, but
How does it look?
Terrible.
terrible.
Looks terrible.
Looks like my husband's writing.
Looks like your husband's writing. Okay.
Sorry.
So what I want you to do, and Emily, if you're doing the breakout rooms for them, ask them now after they've shared with that, because then we're all going to come back and do a little bit of a group share. is now I want you to place your writing instrument in your dominant hand. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to write your first and last name 3 times. Make sure you close your eyes.
Can you repeat that again?
Take your writing instrument in your dominant hand, close your
Close your eyes
and
and
then
write
your
first and last name 3 times. And then the same questions as last time.
And then ask the same questions.
Too bad.
Aha. Okay. How did it feel?
Much easier.
Much easier.
Yes.
Okay. How does it look?
Looks pretty good.
Yep.
And you could do it. Did it get better?
Nope.
Then the sloppy, non-dominant hand.
Better than the sloppy non-dominant hand. Okay.
But not than the first.
What was that?
It looked, my third looks worse than my first.
Same.
Cause I kept my eyes closed the whole time, so like, I didn't know where I was writing, if I was overlapping.
Uh-huh. But it felt easy. Easier.
I think I cheated. I used my finger to know where I was every time. Like I use it and then
Is
I
it
just-
cheese?
It's
Wait, I said
cheating.
close your
You
eyes.
straddled
Yeah,
it.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
that's
how you approach things. See, here's the thing. Our strengths are never going to tell us what we do. It's going to tell us how we approach our work and our life.
Just have them come back in, they can answer.
I can see them here, and does that mean?
But
that
some
they're
of them
in
didn't join, so that
Oh.
means some of them didn't go in the rooms for whatever reason.
there? Okay. So let's get everybody back.
So we don't.
Yeah. It
So we
takes
don't-
43 seconds for them to come back.
Oh.
It technically takes 60 seconds, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I was finished that.
63
We
seconds,
can-
43
Was that
seconds.
breakout room? When you create the breakout room, before you open them,
Yeah.
it'll allow you on the far left, lower left, it'll say settings, there's a little clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can select 10 seconds, 30, 60.
I see.
There's a hundred same numbers. I use Zoom every day to teach.
Oh
Are you
my
still?
goodness.
Tomorrow's the last day
Wow.
virtual, and then Wednesday's our last day in person.
Goodness gracious. I commend you for all of that.
Yeah.
180 days of Zoom taught me that.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Alright,
So do we have everyone back online? Yes?
yes?
3, 2, 1. I feel really bad because it's hard to see them here.
Everyone's back.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks like they're back.
okay, everyone's back.
They're all muted, that's why you can't hear them.
Okay, got it. So does anybody online want to share with us how that felt? With the non-dominant hand, share with us what you experienced.
It was actually easier than I expected. I just went really slow.
Okay, took you a while?
I just moved my hand super, super slow and I did better than I expected, I guess.
Okay, so it looks
I took my time.
okay. And then how about with your dominant hand with your eyes closed?
Oh, we didn't get that.
Yeah, we got into the breakout room, I think, a little before we got all the instructions. All we heard was write your name with your left hand, and then we got put in the breakout room.
So those of you online, instead of going in the breakout room, why don't you go ahead and put your writing instrument in your dominant hand, close your eyes, and write your first and last name 3 times. I want you all to experience that as well. Okay, I heard the pen's down. How does it look?
Not too bad.
Okay, you were able to do it.
Yes.
How did it feel?
It's a little bit scary, but I just made sure I didn't want to overlap on top of the other one. That was my only thing I was worried about. Going down far enough to the next line.
How it all looks. Okay, the reason I do this writing handwriting activity is because a lot of times, just because we can do something doesn't mean we necessarily should, okay? Writing in your non-dominant hand is like working on things that are really hard for you. You're working not in your strengths. Oftentimes people in society will have us believe that our weaknesses, the areas that we're not so good at, is an opportunity, where in fact that's bogus. It's not an opportunity. What happens is that when we're working and operating on our weakness, it's counterintuitive because it feels just like it did with your non-dominant hand, frustrating, angst. It didn't look very good. It actually may have gotten a little worse. Okay. It's harder. That's what happens when we're operating outside of our strength zone. We can do it in our strengths, right? Our talent, our natural talents, those that are righty, our natural talents, those with a lefty, our natural talents as well. The more you work at them, the stronger you get. That is exponential growth that we all have. That's the opportunity. Okay. So working in your strengths is like writing your name with your eyes closed. It's easy. Okay. And the caution that I say and that I often give to entrepreneurs, which all of us here are entrepreneurs, I believe. And for those of you online, I'm not sure how many of you are entrepreneurs. Bottom line is that I say, when it comes naturally to you, the last thing you want to tell your clients is that was super simple. I can do that with my eyes closed. No. Because here's the thing, is if you don't know your value, no one's going to value you. Okay. Nobody will know your value until you do. Okay. Nobody's going to recognize that. And what comes easy to us oftentimes is when the more talented we are in an area, the more we're going to take it for granted. So for those of you online, I'm going to ask a couple questions, and we can do the raise the hand in the room here. So I'm going to ask you a question, and if your answer is yes, do the thumbs up. I think everyone's pretty savvy with Zoom, okay? And the same goes after each one. Okay, so raise your hand if you find it easy to start a conversation with somebody who you don't know yet. Okay. Oh, jeez. Yep, and this one, thumbs up. Awesome. How many of you, if you take great satisfaction completing tasks? Yeah. Okay. If you need to pick somebody to race while you're driving, so you're driving down the freeway and you're like, oh, I gotta get, I just know exactly where I'm going. I gotta race that guy. How many of you? No, maybe one, two, one or two. You like to race? Okay. Raise your hand if you predictably get impatient with inaction.
Wait, what do you mean? Like no action? You're not moving?
Yeah.
Oh, like when you're not doing anything, you're
right.
Impatient?
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay. Raise your hand if you see patterns and themes. Patterns and themes, concepts and themes. Yeah. Okay. And then how many of you like to go with the flow and just take one day at a time? Depends. It's overall because it's who we're being. And this is part of it too, is when I work with leaders is being in integrity with who you are. And where I see the biggest challenges is when leaders are pretending to be somebody else at work and somebody else at home. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it causes stress. Yeah. Starts with toxic environments. Because if we're pretending to be somebody else at work, it shows up in all kinds of areas. We get frustrated, similar to writing our name with our non-dominant hand. We're frustrated, it's hard because we're not in alignment. This is the biggest part of our strengths because it helps us to be in alignment with how God created us. It's our natural gifts and talents. So I want to get to the next part where it's talking more about Gallup Strength Finders. It's all about positive psychology. So who all watches the news?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Excellent. You know what? Kudos to every single one of you. Because the news, all it does is look for, somebody to blame,
Yeah.
okay? The blame game. And throwing somebody under the bus. Nothing worse in working with a client where they literally use that phrase, throwing under the bus, or CYA, or CCing and blind CCing people on their emails. Those are prime telltale signs that's a toxic environment. Because, and the culture comes down from the leaders. So Gallup, what they did is Gallup did 50 years worth of research, and it's all on positive psychology. And instead of, remember I told you that a lot of the companies are on their personal development plans is working on their weaknesses. What happens when we work on our weaknesses? It counteracts, it has an adverse effect on our self-confidence, our self-esteem, and our self-worth, which has a direct correlation to our worth in the marketplace. So if we're working on things that we're not good at, out of our lane of flow, we are not going to feel good about ourselves. And that shows up in the marketplace. And particularly,
Could you give an example of that?
Give an example of?
Like someone, like they have a weak spot and they're trying to improve that, and how that kind of distracts from the marketplace?
Well, not just distract. Let me give you an example. They did a study on speed reading. Okay, this is where, when we're operating in our strengths, this is the opportunity versus, the weakness and the opportunity. They did, they took a study of students who could read pretty well. And then, so they gave an assessment or a test to two different sets of readers, right? Some that it came naturally, so they could read 150 words a minute, and others that read really well could read 350 words a minute. So then they gave them speed reading lessons, or, they taught them speed reading. What percentage do you think of increase in those that didn't read very well to begin with?
Sure increased a lot.
No.
Wait, did you 5%?
You mean they barely increased?
What do you
It
mean?
bumped.
Like if they got faster at reading?
It bumped 30%. Okay. How about those that were already proficient in reading? What kind of an increase do you think that they got?
60, maybe more.
2,000%.
Oh,
2,000%.
wow, that's interesting.
Because there were more natural inclination for that. This gives a better example of, am I going to operate and work on something that is going to stress me out? Or am I going to work in my flow and get better at it? And it's going to be easier. And the return on your investment in working in your strengths is exponential. But I will give you an example of when I was working in corporate America, I was chasing the title and the money.
Okay.
And so I was like, I was very good at navigating the corporate landscape because I had a lot of strategy, strategic and woo, winning others over. So I knew who to connect with and how to get those positions. I got a position in strategic alliances, but they wanted me to do project management. And I said, no problem, I can do that. I was after the title and the money because that's what success equaled to me. Then, very different definition. What was happening is I could do it, but I would get so stressed out. I was working spreadsheets. I'm strategy. I work with other people. I collaborate. I'm not analytical. I was working on spreadsheets. I was working with other clients, but I had to project manage. I did that for 18 months. And people were like, you're such a process queen. It's amazing. I did exceptionally well because I was padding perfection. It wreaked havoc in my health.
You hated it.
I was stressed out. I would go home and my kids would get the brunt of it. My relationships at work and at home were a mess. Is because I was so stressed out pretending to be able to do something really well. It hurt my whole, my health, my relationships, my finances. And that is not worth, it's at a huge cost. So when it has adverse effects, and just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should be doing that, because we have to pay attention to how it's impacting our life. Where is it showing up? Where are we snippy with other people? Where are we cutting ourselves short? And then what happens is that our self-esteem and our self-confidence starts waning. And it does have a direct reflection on our worth in the marketplace. We start questioning our value. I have clients right now that they are, believe it or not, I work with a lot of clients that are on boards of Fortune 500 companies. And I work with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and also CEOs and VPs. We all have that same talk. Imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be found out. What's my value? What kind of CEO am I? What kind of a value? They go through the same thing at a bigger stage, at a bigger cost. And so when we are operating in our flow, that's when everything is so much easier and success is guaranteed. Absolutely. So the Gallup Strengths is today, they've actually, I think over 25 million people have taken it. And then you have your top 5 talents. There's 34 themes, okay, based on all the questions, there are 34 themes. But the top 5 talents is when you're in your flow, is those things that come so naturally to you, right? And so you can have the same top 5 as others, okay? You are 1 in 287,000 that will have the same top 5, okay? But the order matters. The order in which your strengths show up matters because you are 1 in 33.3 million. So you're more than 1 in a million. This is why a lot of times, why are we pretending to be somewhere we're not when we can actually be in ease and flow and our life works so much better when we're in alignment with our God-given talents. Any questions on that? No. As I mentioned, the strengths are never going to tell you, because I have a lot of people saying, hey, you know what, here's my top 5 talents. What career would be best for me? What kind of position would be best? It's not going to dictate what career is best for you. There are some natural inclinations, some that are analytical and deliberative and focused. They tend to be more in the engineering, in the accounting, those kind of careers. But it's more on how you approach things. It's how you approach your work and your life. Okay, so those questions that I asked you, okay, if you find it easy to start a conversation with people you don't know, whether it's in the coffee shop, whether you are on the elevator, that talent, that's tied to a talent called woo, winning others over. So if people have said to you, oh my gosh, you know, you're always talking to people, you meet people wherever you go, that's a talent. That is awesome. And it's really great in business development kind of roles, sales roles, anywhere where you're interacting with other people. If you're in a role right now in your day-to-day job and you are in the back office doing work solo, you gotta be stressed out because you want to be interacting with other people. Yeah. I will tell you, through COVID, I have woo in my top 5. My woo was screaming because I wasn't meeting new people. Yeah. I love the opportunity to meet new people and make those connections. And I saw many of you raising your hand here, whether you have woo in your top 5. But if after a while you may feel a little bit out of sorts, then it's great to go through your top 5 and say, what's missing? Okay, for me, I was great pivoting my business, but then all of a sudden I was just like, it's me, myself, and I. Zoom is one thing, but the problem is that that's all, that's not, you're not feeling the energy of other people, okay? The next one was you take great satisfaction completing tasks. Oh, that's an achiever. And I'm pointing to Janice because I know Janice has achiever in her top 5. Yeah. So there's balconies and basements, right? So each of these talents, there are strengths, but they also have a shadow side that we have to be really, really careful of. Okay, that can be our weakness. A weakness, according to Gallup, is anything that stands in our way or the way of others. Okay, so completing tasks, got to check it off. Okay, love to be able to make your lists and check them off before the end of the day. Here's where it counteracts, well, it can have an adverse effect. I work with a lot of clients that have achiever and responsibility in their top 5. And they just are burning the candle saying, I'm not gonna go to bed until that list is done. You've gotta have boundaries, carve boundaries, okay? Pick 2 to 3 priorities, but I also have other strategies to help with achievers and responsibilities that we don't have time to go into. But what happens is that if at the very, at all costs, you have to check that box off, we have to be careful, because what happens with achievers, it's great. It's like, give me the goal, which is awesome. And they're the executors. They're going to get to the finish line. But the problem there is it could be at the cost of people. Okay. So leaders who are high achievers, you have to be aware if you have people working for you and with you, because it could be perceived that your task is more important than your people. That happens with families as well. So where you need to pick somebody to race while you're driving, that could be competition. Because with competition, you've got to know where you stand. Competition is used as a motivator. It's like, I gotta win. You bring, the value that you bring is the exceptional, you raise the bar of performance. Predictably become impatient with inaction. Those are the people who like to be activators. Ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
So ready, fire, aim is good in certain instances, but it can also be a downfall. So being very careful. Those that see patterns in data, concepts, and themes, strategic. So when all of a sudden, and another one, since we're all women here, I'll give you an example with strategic. You've got this beautiful event that you need to go to get a new outfit, okay? You go to the mall.
Oh, I'm excited.
You're already excited.
Yeah, I'm already ready.
Okay. You go to get a new outfit. You go into the first store and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful dress. I love it, but you don't buy it. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna go whipping through every other store in the mall so quickly, you don't have to take your time, because now you got something, you're like, yeah, I think that's it. What you wanna do is to go, you wanna, yes, you wanna be open to other options.
Yeah, that's me.
So you know which one is the right choice. That's another way that strategic shows up. And like when a lot of the times with women, they'll go, yeah, I think I'm strategic. And when I give that analogy, they're like, oh yeah, that's me. Because what happens is that you're open to other options. But here's what happens with leaders though. We can go into a room and we already kind of know where we want to go. So we just vomit it all over our team and say, here's what we're going to do. Here's the issue. And we're going to go and we're going to take these steps. And then they're going, well, you're not even asking me. So you already gave us the answer. What happens with leaders, even though you may see and you know the best route moving forward, the best solution, as strategic, the best thing to do is to walk in and say, okay, here's the situation. Here's what's working, what's not working. What can we do differently? What do you think? What do you think? And then you get the buy-in from your team. So that way they feel like that their opinion matters. And guess what? You might have a different perspective that's going to open up your eyes as well. So the last thing you want to do is run in there. And even though, and here's the other thing is, you may be 10 steps ahead of them. You got to have patience. This is where it's understanding. With strengths, what I typically say, we know our strengths on a piece of paper first, but that's a one-dimensional report. And you're going, great, what do I do with that? And then you want to put it on the shelf. Because how do you actually live and operate and lead from your strengths? It can be a little bit wonky at first. It's like when you drive a stick shift, it's like the clutch and the gas, and you're popping the clutch, right? Same thing with strengths. You have to know when to put your foot on the gas and when to ease up on it and lead with a different strength. And that's what takes the time. It's a delicate dance. And that's when sometimes we can get into trouble with, oh my gosh, it's not working. I'm connecting with people, but we could be overachieving and connecting with people. So we have to be careful. Those that go with the flow and take one day at a time is adaptability. They're very adaptable. So again, these are telltale signs, just to give you a little bit of an example of things that could come naturally to you. So I want to give you some strengths in context. I love this, this graphic because this is all 34 strengths, but what they are in leadership quadrants. Okay, this is awesome to say, oh, where's your top 5? And you want to map your top 5. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example of mine. Mine's strategic, futuristic, maximizer, communication, and woo. So I am personally in the thinking quadrant and the influencing quadrant. So people here are making connections with disparate themes and concepts. Inward focus, so we're thinking. We're in our heads a lot if we're in this quadrant. We could be overthinking sometimes. It's good to know. Also, then I do influencing, okay? It's outward focusing and taking action. This is getting things done through other people. Now, I will share with you, when I started my business 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I've been doing strengths for quite some time, like 15 years. But when I didn't have this kind of a quadrant, and I wasn't familiar with how they operated, I'm in this strategic thinking, so I knew where I wanted to go with my business. Influencing, I was connecting people. I had no execution. No execution. I had great ideas, maximizing. I had content until like I was massaging it till the cows came home. I was thinking about it, had all these great ideas. I needed to partner with somebody. And I'm telling you all this right now, as entrepreneurs, it's really important to know where your strengths reside on here, and then where to find collaboration partners, okay? Stay in your sweet spot, in your lane. And like people will say, well, what about the weaknesses? Then what you do is you stay in what you're really good at, and then you partner and leverage people who are in areas that you are not as strong. Any questions on that?
No, it's good.
Any questions from online? I would say this is the money slide, because especially entrepreneurs, they'll say to me, oh my gosh, I'm here and thinking and relating, but I'm not getting anything done. How do I do this? Do I have to quit my job? No, you find partners. And I also work with companies to help them. It's not necessarily take the assessment to determine, like, to hire people, but you have to make sure from intact teams, do you have the right people, the right talents? Do you have the right skills? And then are they in the right seats? Okay. A lot of the time, so I was working with a CFO, and her chief of staff had asked her to get a VP in between her organization, and because she needed to be more strategic. She had a few misfires because everybody looks the same on paper. All of our skills look the same, okay? With our strengths, what I typically will tell you is that it's your natural, like I said, naturally, the way you naturally think, feel, and behave. With your strengths, you want to make sure that when you're writing a job description, you're saying you need them to be outwardly focused, to be able to connect with other people, to be able to communicate, to be able to get things done. You know, there's ways in which you can write your job description that in fact will attract the talent, okay? The other thing that I want to share with each and every one of you is when you have the opportunity to get that strength assessment is in your insight report, you'll highlight the phrases that jump out at you that resonate with you most. It's great language for you to articulate the value that you bring, okay? In your handouts, I've also, for those of you who took the assessment, this is a longer workshop that I typically do. It'll help you to be able to do your branding statement for your company, because when I work with entrepreneurs, your natural talents is who you are, is your brand for your company, and helps set you apart from others. There's also in here what I call it's the need it, bring it. So for example, I'm going to do Janice, as an achiever, what you bring, the value you bring is intensity and stamina of effort. And what you need in order to be at your best, it's just as important to know what you need in order to be at your best is the freedom to work at your own pace.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have somebody micromanaging you, telling you to either hurry up or, slow down, we're not ready for that yet, it will cause angst. So it's really important.
Can you talk to my husband?
Yeah. Remind him of your strengths.
Put that on your refrigerator.
So as I mentioned, we only have a few minutes left. I wanted to give an opportunity for question and answer. But as I mentioned, that nobody is going to know your value until you do. And the strengths assessment is a great first step to understand what comes easy to you so you don't take it for granted anymore. Because oftentimes I hear, oh, you're so great at connecting with people and people feel like they've known you forever. And I used to go, oh yeah, well, that's no big deal. Well, if I don't think it's a big deal, they're not going to value it. So we have to be careful when something comes easy, we have to be able to accept that and say, yes, I love that. That's what I love to do. That's what I do best. Because now we're valuing our own talents, other people will as well. Okay, we have to really be careful of the talk that we have and the words that we speak out of our mouth, right? So studies show that leaders who operate in their strengths 3 times more likely to have an excellent quality of life because we're in flow all day. Okay, so if you can operate in your strengths 60 to 70% of your day, oftentimes I'll map out with some of my clients and I'll say, of the things that you're doing today, what do you love to do? Okay. How much of that, what that you love to do, what are you getting paid to do? And if you're off kilter, okay, it can be stressing you out. Okay. So it's up to us to be able to understand what we need in order to be at our best so we can be proactive and go after what we want. Okay. Be deliberate about it. And then 6 times more engaged with their work, 57% less likely to have burnout. After COVID, that's all I keep hearing from a lot of the clients is like, my team is burnt out. They're resigning right and left. And turnover in companies is very expensive, very expensive. So there's a couple of slides on here about, 72% lower turnover, 29% increase in profits. That's why a lot of companies, you've got to create an environment where people can be that you're really empowering them to be their best and do what they do best on a daily basis, right? So when we can recognize that in others, we can help them along as well. And it creates a better environment for our company. Master your strengths. And then I just wanted to give you a better idea of how to connect. And then I'll take questions as well. So I do one-on-one coaching. I also do group coaching, help people do just even a one-time deep dive. If you want to do your strengths assessment, I go through with you and find out about your story, your background, and help you to tie in your strengths to your life, how they've always showed up in your life, and then how to intentionally direct them moving forward. So I wish we had more time because I do a lot more experiential. Any questions?
Oh, yeah. First of all, you have amazing taste in jewelry.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoy your necklace. What's your favorite thing that you've learned about working with women specifically in business?
My favorite thing that I learned working with women, what I've learned, favorite thing, is to help them reframe, because so many times we apologize for ourselves. Sorry. The words we use are really important. We minimize ourselves more than we actually really recognize that. So I love to reframe, shine the spotlight on some blind spots, and it makes such a difference, like unbelievable confidence-wise. So that's great. Janice.
I have a question. So how do you know that what you're doing is that you're not just, because getting out of your comfort zone is part of growing. Anytime you're learning something new, it's uncomfortable. And how do you know that if you're uncomfortable or have fear because it's something new, that it's not good for you to step out of your comfort zone versus, hey, I'm just not operating in my strength and I don't take that risk. Because there's the balance between I'm uncomfortable because this is new versus I'm not operating in my strength. Because I'm battling with that right now. I'm doing a complete kind of almost career shift working with my husband.
Okay.
And I'm doing a lot of things that are uncomfortable, but he says, but you're so good at it. And I'm like, is it because it's uncomfortable or is it because I'm not, because the things that you mentioned, that I shared my 5 top strengths with you, it's good for what we're doing in my business, but it's a lot of times I am stressed because it is uncomfortable and it's new.
So it's different with being uncomfortable. So growth obviously comes outside of our comfort zone. We all know that.
Yeah.
It's one thing when you're learning something new, if your brain is still firing and you're excited about it, you're gonna know it's where you get your energy.
Okay.
Is it energizing you? It could be new and uncomfortable, but you're excited about it and it's energizing you. Or as gave you an example of when I was working in project management with lots of spreadsheets, at the end of the day, I was completely exhausted. I was drained. I had nothing left to give my family.
Okay.
So understanding where your energy is. A lot of the times, I will tell you, we're all women here, there is no such thing as work-life balance.
Right.
Hate to break it to you,
Yes,
there is no such thing.
Especially if you have kids.
I want you to take something away from today is find the rhythm of life that works best for you. Because our lives flow. And I'm getting the chills right now because somebody needed to hear this. Because here's the thing, work-life balance is like you see that scale for lawyers. It's like this. It's never a balance. It's, and then trying to get balance is so stressful.
Yeah.
Because we're looking for perfection. Okay, there's flow and rhythm. Music is soothing. Music has a rhythm, so does life. So when we understand some days our family's gonna take precedent and our work is gonna dip a little bit. And today I did a post because it's like always, always, always do your best. And your best on days where family needs you is gonna look different at work. And be okay with that. Be okay with that and understand that if there's 3 priorities that I need to do and that's all I can muster up, I'm going to do my best on those. Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
So if I've learned anything else from women is we are the hardest on ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have to give ourselves grace. And when you strive for the right rhythm in your life versus work-life balance, I guarantee it's going to feel better for you. So, yeah.
That's good.
Any other questions? Yes.
So looking at that one, little map where it was the outward, inward thing, I took my strengths finders and there's some of I have 0 in execution. So literally, is there a way that you can build up that side, or because mainly you were saying find somebody who has that and then implement them basically on your team, which is great. But what if I don't work in a team setting? What if it's just me doing everything?
Okay. I don't know if you've revealed your top 10. Have you? Okay. So I encourage those of you who take it, do the all 34, because what happens is we do have the top 5. That's where we're at flow and it's effortless. Okay.
Yeah.
We tend to float within the top 10. So I would venture a guess that you do have executing down in 6 through 10. And it's a matter of recognizing them and start strengthening those muscles. Okay. And knowing, for example, I have nothing in my top 5 in execution, but I have belief. So I have to really believe in what I'm doing and I have core values. That's awesome. But I also have responsibility. But the fact of the matter is that we can be operating after a while. I know I need some big time executors on my team.
Right.
So I got to collaborate, outsource. Okay. What I call free the wizard, especially with entrepreneurs, we're we think we have to do it all. No, it's called free the wizard. Because just because we can do it doesn't mean we should be doing it. Because it's going to take us a month of Sundays to do something that if we hire somebody to do it, it will take them 2 hours and bring them joy. Here's the other thing. People will say, oh, I just don't want to delegate and I feel really bad. I said, you're not dumping on them. Think of it this way. That's their strength. It brings them joy and energy.
Yeah.
You're adding to their joy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a mind shift.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? Big difference. We're not dumping and running delegation. We're bringing those people in, but that's their strength. Because it's much more economical for us to pay them to do, and we're
Yes.
adding value to the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And creating wealth for others, as well as ourselves, giving them that opportunity to do what they do best, frees us up to do what we do best. I hope that helps you.
Yeah.
Anybody online have any questions? They're all muted.
How do we check the assessment? Did I miss that email or did it have to be in person?
No, I actually, I'll put it in the newsletter, but it was in one of the newsletters, when I posted on the event and I said, take assessment now.
Oh, awesome.
It's in one of the emails.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
It's there. It goes straight to the website. You can do it.
So let me make a recommendation. You can go to buy the Strength Finder book on the Kindle app for I think like $20, $25, and it's significantly less than buying the test through their website, and the test is included with the book.
Got it.
So if the book is 25, the assessment's $19.99.
Oh, that
We only get top five.
It's $19.95 for the top
But
5.
I don't know.
It's full assessment.
Oh,
through
full
the book.
assessment.
Full
Okay,
assessment through the
okay.
book, so it's a significant.
Oh,
savings.
you're absolutely right. I didn't know that it was a full assessment in the book. It didn't used to be.
Yes. it
Okay,
is.
cool. Yeah, $20.
Maybe 25, but yeah.
Okay, better than 50. It's half off.
So if you buy the book, you'll get the full assessment?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. The fact is in the book, what it does is it gives you general theme descriptions. What you really want to look at is the strength insight report, because that description is going to be very unique to you. Like, for example, Janice and I share communication, and there's a couple of others that we share, but her descriptions are going to be, we have communication and strategic. So Janice's communication and strategic is going to read differently than mine because I don't have achiever and connectedness. So it's very unique, and that's why it's really important. Great to put on your LinkedIn profile. And then also I help people create their branding statements. So, yes. Any other questions? That's it. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Anybody online? Any other last questions before we finish up? Well, thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
So much.
Yeah.
I hope you guys found
Wish we
this.
had more opportunity
Yeah,
to-
you will. Obviously, how many of you would love her to come back?
Yeah.
Very good. Yes, awesome. So obviously, we're gonna take a quick second if you guys need to use the restroom, because then we're gonna have, now that we talked about purpose and sharing your value, we're gonna have Emily, who's gonna do weave the story of her business. So for you guys that are new, I always pick somebody to instead of saying pitch your business, it's kind of weave your story. It's how to brand yourself. And obviously with listening today, maybe she will get some help with that. So take a quick little bathroom break and then we'll have Emily step in. And for you guys on Zoom, Emily put in the chat box the workbook link. You can download that and then keep it. It has all the notes from today. And then you guys that are here, if you didn't get it, this is yours to keep. And it's Power of Your Strength workbook. And these are great ways for you to take some notes. And yeah, it has the little handout, the little slide.
It's got some cheat notes in there.
Yeah.
The bring it needed is the value that you bring.
Yes.
What you need how to be at your best. So those are great ways to describe.
Okay. So quick little 2-minute break. You guys anybody use the restrooms here? If you need to know where they are, they're outside to the right. There's waters and snacks over there if you guys need to grab a water. And what's that?
Jill had her baby.
Oh, she did. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. And then we'll have Emily come and speak in a couple minutes. Did everyone sign in the sign-in sheet here? Yeah.
Yeah.
A pen? You need a pen, Summer? Okay. Yes, the handout? Yep, I have extra right here.
3-year-old.
The Zoom link? And then it worked?